Hey everybody, and welcome to our regularly scheduled SIG usability meeting, first one for 2021. We don't have a set agenda today. I think we're going to talk a little bit about our user research study. And I see we have a couple new people on the phone too, if y'all want to introduce yourselves. I'm also can kick off. I'm Tasha Drew. I'm one of the leads for SIG usability, and I work at VMware in my day job. Gabby, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Gabby. I'm also one of the co-leads, and I work at IBM for my day job, working on Kubernetes design and all that stuff. And also happy to give an update on the user research, just whenever we feel is a good time. Do you want to go, Josie? Since we're doing popcorn.
My name's Josie. I also work at VMware. I joined SIG Usability about a year ago now, and I'm working with Gabby on the usability study. Spencer?
Hey everyone, my name's Spencer. I am a user researcher on Google Cloud, working on Kubernetes engine.
I can go next. Hi, I'm Kasturi. I'm a graduate student at San Jose State University. I'm learning UX design, and this is my first time I'm attending this meeting. Thank you, Gabby, for including me in this group.
Thanks for reaching out.
I guess that leaves me. I'm Sarah Jane. I go by SJ. I work at Red Hat, and I just recently took over as the lead UX researcher for OpenShift.
Oh, very cool. Well, nice to meet everybody who's new. And do you all have any questions or anything, or were you just kind of hoping to listen in? I know.
Yeah, I'm just. I'll just listen.
Okay, Gabby, you want to kick off and just kind of talk about the study?
Yeah. So let me think. So we got organized at the end of last year and just kind of like had all of our research protocol ready to go for the people that haven't heard of the jobs to be done research study that we're doing. We're doing that. Jobs to be done is a research technique where we're kind of like doing like a little bit of qualitative interviews to ultimately design like a larger survey. Yeah, I see nodding faces, so y'all are probably very familiar with it. So that's what we're doing. Josie is helping out with that as well. She's on the call here. And we did our first 2 user interviews at the end of last year. So we set a goal for ourselves to do, because we're all kind of like doing this in our spare time at work. So we set a goal to do 2 user interviews in a month. And so that was November. And so that gave us a chance to just kind of like try out our research questions, to try out our research infrastructure. So like recording and transcripting, and just kind of also gave us a chance to get organized as far as making a plan for analysis and also for this year. So overall, we feel like the interviews went well. These are people that responded from the people that we recruited through Twitter last year. And yeah, they were more than happy to give of their time. They got their t-shirts afterwards as well, their t-shirt codes. So that went really well. Thank you, Josie, for setting that up and talking to Jorge about that. So yeah, that's what we did last year. And as far as plans for this year, we feel like just because it is spare time, we feel like 2 interviews per month is healthy and achievable. And we have a process down that we can kind of like share with anybody if they're interested in helping out, like if they're interested in helping out with note taking, like with one of the interviews, or if they feel like super comfortable, like working up to maybe like leading an interview while some other people take notes. But yeah, so I think our goal is to do 10 to 12 maybe 15 interviews as part, and then use that as input to do this larger survey design. And so we think that that'll take us to at least the mid-year to get to a point where we can do analysis and then send out the larger survey. Did I miss anything, Josie?
No, I think we're hoping to schedule 2 more for January. And yeah, I think we're also, if you know any Kubernetes users who'd be interested in participating, like, feel free to send them our way as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we're just working down the list of like the people that responded through this survey. And I think our response rate right now is like 10 to 20%, which I think is great. Of the people
I
that
had a
said
rough
that.
December with recruiting, so I will tell you that is really good.
I think it's great. And we still have a lot of people on our list. And I think we can also allow ourselves like maybe like one try, like just like following up with people that we have reached out to. We also got people that responded to the survey from like North America, which is what we've been focusing on right now, but we've also gotten people from Europe and just like other time zones, and that we can, if we need to, just like adjust some of our like hours that we do the interviews, just to make ourselves available, because we have like two to three time slots that we're making ourselves available every week, and just seeing if we can fill those with people.
Do you are the folks that you're looking to talk to, would they be only Kubernetes users, or could they potentially also be using, you know, OpenShift or VM or, you know, any other similar Rancher or anything in that vein, or is it like purely Kubernetes?
We're not, I mean, we have been only speaking to Kubernetes users, but I don't think that we are like strictly limiting ourselves to that.
Okay.
So yeah, if they
Yeah,
only use OpenShift, which, you know, is Kubernetes under the covers,
right.
more than happy to speak to them. Yeah.
Because the reason I ask is I'm, you know, kind of mentally going through my list of, you know, my usual suspects that I talk to. And I know that some of them will use OpenShift in a certain situation and use Kubernetes in other situations, you know, whether it's like production and development or whatever. So if you're open at least to kind of, you know, a mixed usage, maybe I could, you know, give you some contacts, or I could contact them for this.
Yeah, that's awesome. So super open to it for sure.
Cool.
Yeah, one of the things that was kind of driving this research is we wanted to make sure that the upstream community was talking to users of Kubernetes and not just builders of Kubernetes.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Totally.
so that's kind of what we've been trying to focus on, is like people who are using it, but like not necessarily like, you know, part of SIG architecture or something,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah.
Yep. That makes sense. And actually this group that I'm thinking of would be really good for that, because I've tried the, you know, it's Red Hat. I have to encourage them to participate in the community, and they're always like, no, we're too busy. So this,
Perfect.
in this case, it's a good thing. Yep.
You know, that what you just said, that just reminded me of our last user interview that we did, the second one. He was actually, he seemed like he could be a potential contributor, like to the Kubernetes project. Like I remember he said, and we were just kind of like left wondering at the end of that, like, oh, like let's bring it up at the meeting, and just see kind of like, you know, what do y'all think are kind of like good resources or like good like encouragement to give afterwards? Because he was like, I have this idea, but kind of like I don't know if there's like just like so many like channels in Kubernetes for getting started, that it's like if you have an idea and you just want to see like if the community would be receptive to it, like what's the best way of going about doing that?
Yeah, so what I would say is, depending on what the idea is for, directing them to a SIG or working group that's working on that kind of area is the best way to get started. You can, so normally what I do when I'm looking into something that I haven't looked into before is I join the mailing list, the Google group. And then I get the invitation to the meetings, but I also will like suddenly find like everyone usually has like a meeting notes page. They'll have like some links to their latest KubeCon talks. You can kind of get a feel for like where they are and what they're doing. So it kind of depends how much time and how much of a self-starter the person is. If they're not like gonna go dig through the bowels of YouTube, then usually I think the best thing to do is just hop on a meeting and chat with people, or like hop into the Slack channel and be like, hey, I'm working on this thing. And then sometimes it's super quiet. So sometimes you have to kind of shepherd them a little. In a previous community, I was working on this thing, and I'm actually thinking about writing it up as a blog post because I think it's just funny. But you know the pirate funnel? Have you know that like when you're working on a SaaS product, you have like the pirate user acquisition funnel that's like R, right? Like it's like, so I was writing that up for like, oh no. Well, don't ask me what I always forget what the letters stand for, but it's like, you know, like the initial visit to your website, right? And then how you kind of get them through your entire funnel until they're actually like a paying customer. And then beyond that, like, do they recommend you on an NPS score, right? So it's like called the pirate user acquisition funnel. So I was like applying that to new user acquisition in an open source project, and like kind of what would the pirate acquisition funnel for that be, with the goal of like getting, like not everyone's going to become a maintainer, right? But like there's like different off ramps based on like what you're doing that are all good for the ecosystem, and kind of like how do you write that up? So I think it's something to think about.
Cool. Yeah, I'll send him that tip for sure, just to see. Yeah, so what I can do, just I'll post one of our working Google Docs in the Slack group afterwards. And if any of y'all are interested in kind of like helping out with notes or something like that, or getting involved in any way, feel free to reach out to either myself or Josie. But yeah, that's it as far as update.
Cool. And the other thing I would just quickly mention is I always forget how hard it is to get added to the Kubernetes Slack channel. So if you need a link to an invite, just ping in SIG contribx and they'll send you the link to invite somebody to the Slack channel if there's someone you think would enjoy being a member. And then also starting in SIG contribx and just landing there and asking a question about the thing you're interested in is a pretty friendly place to kind of ask your first question as a new member of the community. Cool. Anything anyone else wants to talk about today? Okay. Well, thanks, Gabby. The work you're doing is awesome. And I'll definitely help more now that I got my life together.
No worries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week.
Awesome.